everybody. Welcome to It's in the Cards. Hope everybody had a fantastic week. I had a lovely weekend this past weekend. I finally, after a few years, got to go away thanks to a very dear friend. Thank you. Hope everyone is enjoying summer. All the schools are out by now. It's hard to believe it's already 4th of July next weekend. I don't know where May went, or June for that matter. It flew. I was going to, I will, a little bit later, I was going to get right into discussing decks, but interesting last night that somebody had posted late last night. It came up on my Facebook wall, a news article, and I'm not quite sure from the sounds of what they posted with it. They believed it, or were at least believing it enough to question it and put it up there. And ironically enough, it's regarding my topic from last week of the Ouija boards, and talking about the different beliefs behind it and how people get carried away with it, just like paranormal investigating, psychic readings, tarot card readings, and all of that. If you caught my post earlier today, advertising the show, I did put the link up so that you guys could see for yourself what I was talking about prior to joining me this evening. But for those that did not see it and happened to miss that link on the story, what it basically is it's the headline. I'll read the headline. 3 American friends hospitalized after becoming possessed following Ouija board game in Mexican village. It was young adults, an 18-year-old, a 22-year-old, and a 23-year-old. It's a very short article. I'm not going to sit here and read it, even though it is short. You can look it up later if you care to. But what I did, it includes a video in the article. Before watching the video, I read the article, and a few things just in the article itself made me go, really? Okay. And continued to read on. They're saying that just a couple minutes into using the Ouija board, the female participant started to growl and started to thrash around in a trance-like state. And then shortly following her doing that, the other 2, which were males, one was her brother, one was her cousin, started showing possession signs, where what happened was, according to the article, they called a neighborhood priest to come out to perform an exorcism. But because the priest refused them, to perform an exorcism on the 3 of them, because they weren't regular churchgoers. So they were denied. Okay, surprised, sad to say, no, I'm not. But that just makes, it doesn't state if they were refused, over the phone. Did the priest come out and then, in speaking to them refuse, or maybe witness other things going on? Who knows? So after they were refused by the Catholic priest, they contacted the paramedics. And the paramedics came out and I'm not sure if all of them, they focus on the female, and the video that is shown is the female. Had to tie her down because she was thrashing around. The others were reporting things like double vision, hallucinations. She was reportedly growling, thrashing, uncontrollable body thrashing, things like that. She is who's in the video. Looks like it's in the ambulance. She's on the stretcher, and they have her tied down, immobilized, including her head in a head contraption. She goes from growling, grunting, trying to thrash, to turning her head and, laughing. So a couple things with the article got me going, okay, is there missing info here, or this is just the typical, they happen to be playing with a Ouija board, nothing is stated, what they may or may not have been doing prior. It doesn't state anything that their blood levels were checked for drugs or alcohol or anything. It states that when they got them to the emergency room, they were treated with for double vision, so they were given eye drops. They were complaining of numbness, deafness, blindness, hallucinations, muscle spasms, and difficult swallowing. So what was done for them was the eye drops for the eyes, and painkillers, anti-stress medication was given to them, and seemingly it worked. That makes you go, okay, I'm not into, okay, does possession occur? People believe it does. I don't know. Anything's possible. If it does, it doesn't happen often enough for me to say, oh yeah, that's, a possibility. But I'm not going to say it didn't. But there's alarm bells that go off. And I had noticed the comments underneath, people right away take everything for how it's stated, or just watch the video and freak out. They're not considering what I had already said. Was there a blood test done? What was found? Any drugs, any alcohol? What might they have been doing prior to the Ouija board? Do they just have a strong fear and negative belief of the Ouija board? Hallucinations and a trance-like state. What were they doing? Were they messing around with self-hypnosis or hypnotizing one another, not knowing what they're doing? So many unanswered things with this that just doesn't sit right. They had the video camera on her. They were probably in 3 different ambulances. And the final thing that makes you go, possession, if it occurs, from all that I have heard, you can't go to an ER, get an intravenous or an antidepressants and some eye drops, and you're fine and dandy. A priest, a shaman, somebody that is able to properly deal with those things needs to come in. And the article doesn't state that, since they tried a priest on their own and were turned away, did the hospital have priests there on call? Did they bring one in? Because even if this is, a thing of their own mind and they're believing it and acting it out, the mind, does a whole lot of things to us when we believe things. You sometimes have to go through the motions to calm the people down. So was there a priest that the hospital was able to manage to come in? You can, look it up online if you haven't seen it with the link that I have provided on Facebook. It's from the UK. It's dailymail.co.uk. But all you have to probably do is type in possessed girl, Ouija board, and I'm sure you would find it. If she's, if the whole thing is a complete act, maybe they wanted to scare mom or something. She is a good actress. There is something there going on with her that you can see in the eyes. She's not focused or anything. With that said, Eric, you saw it. What did you think about it?
You want the short answer or the long answer?
Whichever one you want to give.
The short answer, I think I'm not going to say it's a fake article either, because obviously I wasn't there.
Right.
First thing, the Catholic Church does not keep exorcists at every church that's out there. So for them to expect to be able to just show up at their local parish and go, exorcise me, that also doesn't work. But that also goes all the way back to the whole Church of England versus the Catholic Church thing.
Right.
They still pick at each other like this, so that's why they would even mention that they went to a priest and the priest turned them away. Second of all, they would have to go get a physical and mental evaluation before the Catholic Church will even talk to you. Yeah, and a physical and a complete mental evaluation. You have to have all that done before they'll even talk to you about a possession. I think this speaks very highly if they did have, and obviously if she's not completely acting,
Right.
she's how can I put this? If she's not completely acting and she is actually possessed, then it was from the power of intention of what they started off doing on the board. Like you mentioned, there's no mention of a drug test. There's no mention. And once again, that's the UK people picking on the US people, because just look at these 3 stupid US kids that went down there playing with a Ouija board in the middle of haunted Mexico. Whatever. So, like you said, there's just, it actually raises more questions than it ever answers. It's just it's like a tabloid spoof at trying to keep them, improve their readership or whatever.
Right. Right. And for somebody that is just so against Ouija boards, they want to, use the typical scare tactics whenever they can.
Yeah,
whenever they come across something that they can say, it's the cause of it.
There's a lot of shows out there, and the shows are all for entertainment, and I get that. But there's also been some shows, and I'll call them out by name. Paranormal State's the worst, absolute worst, for always being able to find a demon. That doesn't even get into the integrity of PRS and Ryan Buell and people that aren't getting their tickets paid for advance or getting refunded for canceled events. That doesn't even get into all that. The whole fact that they could, when they were on air, find a demon every week. Give me a break.
Right. Now, I did have time to look this up, so I'm not going to say who on television. She has been mentioned a few times in the chat room when I've had different guests on and things, being asked what the guests think of her. I didn't have time because I just found it out like a half an hour before coming on air, but supposedly she was found out to be doing setups and staging her entire psychic show. Question in the chat room, can people be influenced by the Ouija boards, do I think? And yeah, people can be influenced with, just about anything. And also back to the belief system. Were they approaching the Ouija board looking for evil? Because that's all they were taught about, being Catholic and so against it and things. You're going to, in life, in daily life, not even anything paranormal or psychic related, you're going to see negative if that's your mindset. You're going to see positive if that's what you're looking for. Again, I'll use the example. You wake up late and it throws you all off. So you wake up late in a bad mood, your schedule's messed up, you don't have time for this, you're rushing around, you stub your toe, now you're annoyed, you're in pain, you're cursing, you go out, the car won't start right away, and you're sitting there thinking, oh, okay, this is a great start to the day, and what happens? You're seeing everything that could go wrong during the day is going wrong, rather than, the positives. Oh, good, traffic jam, I'm running late, but the traffic jam cleared, so I didn't have to sit in the traffic. Wasn't me to be the same amount of time, and things like that. And the mind is a very powerful thing. I have mentioned it before with the readers out there that like to use curses and spells to try to get more money from you. They come, you'll get a reading, they may pick up on everything and be terrific, and you're thinking they're fabulous. And then, the catch later might be, well, things are working out the way they are with the job or the relationship because you have a curse on you. If you're a person that believes somebody has that power over you, you're going to sit there and believe the little cursing pitch that is being given to you. And then, you're going to start thinking to yourself, maybe there's something to it. Anything that happens from there on in, you're going to be questioning, okay, well, maybe that went on because of the spell that's on me that I was told about this morning or yesterday. And you become more alert. It's that's what they do when they start telling those elaborated stories of your great-great-grandmother, whatever story, why she was had a spell put on her, 50 years ago, because they want to get you in the mindset of believing it. Because then you'll get scared and you'll come back and you'll give them money because you want help. Overall, do I believe people can be cursed? No, honestly, I don't. I think it's people make themselves cursed. They believe it. I have, had occasions where you have to appease people because that they won't listen to the fact that nobody has control over you and what occurs. And they're so superstitious or so into those beliefs that you have to go through a ritual or give them a ritual to do so that they have the comfort of, oh, I did something, I'm cleared. Self-fulfilling prophecy, yes. Exactly. They go through the ritual, and then all of a sudden they're magically fine because it's the mind over matter, the belief system that they follow and believe in. And the same thing possibly with this Ouija article. Hollywood, the Catholic Church, upbringing, who knows? Maybe, where'd the Ouija board come from? Maybe somebody gave it to them, telling them an elaborate story of how the board itself's possessed. We don't know any of that. But the list of the possibilities with this story could go on and on and on. The sad part is people come across something like this and they don't think of the additional ins and outs, the things that are unmentioned, such as, was there blood work done, testing for drugs, what they might have been doing prior. You'd only have the pieces that makes the story go Ooh, see, Ouija boards, they're bad. Um, are they dangerous? You're asking that to somebody that really doesn't believe anything's that dangerous. I mean, you can say tarot cards are dangerous. Paranormal investigating, you can say is dangerous. But when we go out there, we don't know what type of spirit is there that we're dealing with. The demons could be pretending to be an innocent child to get you to pay attention to them. Anything's dangerous if you make it dangerous. A butter knife can be dangerous if you make it dangerous. You are going into, communicating with another realm. Just like ghost hunting, and I will throw this out there, without mentioning names or anything, but I stated I was able to get away this weekend, and thank you again for that. And prior to going out there through Skype, there was always wonder if there were some spirits outside of the property. And it was about a month or so ago, I was through the phone, through Skype with the person, and they were out front of the property, and I was picking up on a man and two children. Just from that, it kind of reminded me of when I was in Brian's pocket that night when they were investigating. And so I was headed there this weekend, so I brought the ghost box with me and things like that to see what I could pick up. And this is a perfect example of what we have said before when I've had mediums on. Don't go into a reading anticipating a specific person. Don't go to a medium thinking mom's going to come through, because whatever info is given to you, it's not going to match, because maybe it's Uncle Chris that came through and not mom. And you're so focused on mom, you're not relating to any of the information. And the same thing with readings. But we went out, and I brought my things with me, and I went out front, and we were taking the pictures, and some of them got the shadows of two little kids and a man standing behind them. Got a few different things in the photos, and I turned the ghost box on. So within a couple minutes, we had a male voice come through, and they had said the name Al. So from the time period that we are figuring this is from, the name Al really not a name used for that time period. But, went along with it. The one woman that was out there with me, all of a sudden, she's, oh my God. Because we got the name Al again repeated. We got the word children. So right away, we're focused. We're doing the thing I tell you not to do. Don't think a specific thing being discussed. We were figuring the two children that I knew were there and that we caught in the pictures. And here, she heard the voice coming through enough, and she realized it was her brother who just passed away not quite a year ago that was coming through, and his name was Al. He was coming through and letting her know that, that he is around. And it had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with what I was there thinking I would be picking up on. So that's just another example of not to expect, because you never know what is coming through and what you're getting. I know that one of the people just got here a little late, and they want to call in because they did also see the Ouija possession article and video. Not a problem that you're late. Wasn't sure if you were even going to make it, so I had already, jumped into it, and I had discussed a few things. So she saw it and read the article, and she has a viewpoint on it as well. So when the phones open, Eric, let me know so she can call in.
They're open.
It's opened. Okay, go ahead, Hannah. You can give me a call. Okay, she is calling in now. All right, we'll get you.
Hello?
Frank, you there, Hannah? Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I already went over like the different facts that are eliminated or just didn't occur, and they're not in the article. The fact that no blood test was done on these, as far as the articles mentioned, to see if drugs or alcohol took part in it. We, naturally, the fact that they're Catholic brought up with, it's of the devil and Satan and nothing good from them. And I also had pointed out another thing that, since we were talking about the mind, and, the mind will believe what it wants to believe and take it way out there. The fact that, where'd the Ouija board come from? Maybe somebody gave it to them, scaring them, telling them it was a possessed Ouija board. And to be, expect to have something negative happen with it. So that would cause them to already have that belief that this was going to happen. So your perspective on it, since you saw it.
Right, yeah, I looked at the article and the video, and the article is pretty weak, irresponsible coverage of this. I was pretty shocked by that because there are basically no facts in it other than there was a Ouija board, they played it, they went to the hospital. Now, as you mentioned, they're Catholic, Mexican, and I think down there in Mexico, is it Santeria? I can never remember the name of that particular religious tradition. But I know like there are pockets of New York City and the Spanish communities where that's huge. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same thing there. And so before those kids even opened to that box, I'm sure they had an idea of that this was something that was supposed to be taboo for them to play with. That it was of the devil, because all those teachings come from church.
Right.
And the Catholic Church is big on that. A lot of the Christian denominations are very big on that. And have the devil, and I know down here in the South with the evangelistic Christians, it's very fire and brimstone-y, and they are, quote-unquote, educated by fear. And fear is the primary factor in keeping them in control. So right. All of that is enough for the mind to take that over and for them to become frightened. And as they're moving the little mouse, whatever thing is called, on the Ouija board, I forget what it's called.
The plancha.
Thank you. Moving that around, and if they're doing something in a chant-like way, in Catholicism, there's a lot of prayer and ritual, and you very easily go into trance state. And with that, the mind is really susceptible. And my belief is that that's exactly what happened, and their fear overtook them, and they believed that they were becoming possessed and behaved accordingly, but not intentionally. I don't think they set out to do that.
Well, you
And
also you have to
wonder
also,
about the drug aspect of it, because very likely, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they discovered that in their blood system as well.
well, that's the other thing too is there are hallucinogens used in Santeria and
Yes.
some of the other belief Central American native belief systems, the Incan belief systems, that type of thing. There are hallucinogens used.
Yes,
Right.
and primarily to trigger trance state and visions,
Right.
which are hallucinations.
And what we mentioned at Hannah at the very first of the show, what I mentioned anyway was the fact that you can't just go down to your local Catholic church and get an exorcism. I mean, there's a whole process you go through. So, that was something that we talked about earlier. And I mentioned, this goes back to the whole Church of England doesn't like the Roman Catholic Church, blah blah blah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of it that plays into it.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And it runs very, very deep. Those traditions are, centuries old.
Sure, Santeria is a very old belief system. It's like voodoo or hoodoo. They mix belief systems and rituals.
Yes. They'll combine them.
Yeah.
And some will practice the Santeria in, private and then do their church faith for that.
Yeah. Well, that's for the rest of the public.
Yes.
Right.
And was it the church that actually called the ambulances? The article.
I'm not sure.
The
I didn't
article.
read that.
The article.
I thought it said the mother did.
Well, the article mentions that
It was the mother.
the priest refused to help because they
Well, see,
were
that's
not
what the mother said.
because they
I
were
don't know
not
that that's true.
because they were not regular church goers.
Right.
And I don't think a good priest would do that. And I think that was the mother saying that. So we don't know what the facts are surrounding that.
Yeah. It was very irresponsible to publish this, no matter which way you look at it. But if I'm not mistaken, the paper that published it is also known. It's kind of like the National Enquirer.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. Some kind of one of those dreadful, ridiculous magazine things.
Yeah, kind of like the Men in Black read it just to get information about what's going on in the universe or whatever.
And the article even stated, I guess naturally they interviewed the emergency doctor because it said that he added whether the trio were really possessed or had simply convinced themselves they were was not for the doctors there to comment on.
Yeah, legally he wouldn't be able to say.
Right.
Go to your ass. Don't say anything.
Right. But you wouldn't even, handle, through what they were saying was given, the eye drops.
Yeah, does Visine know about that? Does Visine stop possessions? I mean, will it get rid of red eye and stop possessions? That's something I found it very interesting. They kept repeatedly mentioning eye drops.
About the eye drops.
Yeah, we need to update our first aid kits here for paranormal investigating, Eric.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of putting it in people's drinks or coffee to cause some explosive things to happen, but I've never heard about it stopping any kind of neither world activity.
Right.
No, me neither. That would be a new one.
Instead of the holy water, everybody's going to carry around eye drops. I had also mentioned, because you're the one that informed me. Did you find where you had heard that? I didn't mention the show or the psychic medium, but prior to me coming on, you had mentioned you came across that she's been proven to be a fake.
Yeah, the Long Island medium. Yeah, they discovered that she had plants in her audience and had, with her person that's supposed to help her, they had predetermined some things before the show. like, surprise, surprise, because there's no way that even if she does have some gift with that, which she probably does. But we all know how it works. It's not going to work every time. You don't know what's going to come through. You don't know what's going to happen. You can't guarantee outcome. When you have a show, you have to guarantee outcome, that the show goes off the air.
Right.
You know? And that woman clearly needs attention and wants to be famous and out in public. And just, for all the people I know, you'd never go up to perfect strangers in the street and say, oh, I have a message for you. It just, that's an invasion.
Right. Yeah.
Of personal space, of privacy, of everything. And it's disrespectful.
And it's also, it brings into question the big E word that nobody wants to talk about. Ethics.
Oh, yes. Well,
Yes.
that should be forefront. Actually, I have no issue with discussing ethics because to me that's a primary thing if you want to run a business that's on the up and up.
Right. Absolutely.
Their salt is going to be on your website.
Yep.
And it's something that evolves and changes, like with cell phones now. It's like all of a sudden everybody's got these cell phones. It's like, oh, okay, what are, how are you supposed to use it? What's ethical? What's unethical? What's polite? What's disrespectful with it?
That's a very good point. The technology that we have now. What was the big? They were looking into her for a while, right?
Apparently, yeah. I guess they'd heard some things that made them want to investigate her.
Right.
And they did, and I guess several sources were on it and discovered it because, it's probably one of those days when I was half asleep and had the TV on in the evening, and so I can't tell, local news from world news from Inside Edition. They're all about the same. They put the same stuff on all of those. But just going on that they found out that she's a fraud because of this. And she may not be, I don't think she's a complete fraud. I think she's somebody that fame and money is more important than ethics. And in order to keep that show going, she was going to do whatever it took in the great American capitalist way.
Right, and it got to her head, and we know what happens with the ego.
Yeah.
And all that.
I think her head was big to begin with, and that was her whole plan.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to have a TV show, and she wanted to be famous.
Right. And what's a shame is, it's things like that give in general, why we all have the bad rap that we have and the beliefs that people have with us, because you hear about the famous ones.
Yeah, it's very upsetting because those of us who are professional in this business, and then you have someone go out and do that, people just get to say, all right, see, I told you they're all fakes, they're all frauds, they're just in it for the money. And because of her greed and her self-absorbed personality, she didn't care. She doesn't care. It's all about her. She's not caring who she's stepping on by doing that. And it does a lot of damage.
Yeah. And I'm sure from her perspective, this is going to give her more attention, more publicity.
Yeah.
So, it's probably not even fazing her in the least. She probably figures, her name's being made known now maybe to people that never heard of her or the show.
Yeah. I think this woman is such a twit, and she's so selfish, self-absorbed, and greedy that she'll fight it. So she can have more press, more news coverage, and fight it.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if she does that.
And not to speak ill of the dead, but Sylvia Browne was the exact same way.
Yep.
Yes, she was. I never did like her.
In some of Sylvia's books, some of the information that she put out was accurate and good, but for the most part, from what I've read and what I've seen other people talk about her books, most of it was metaphysical oatmeal.
Yes.
There was,
She
there
started,
were,
yeah,
there were,
it
there were,
wasn't that way in the beginning. When she first started, I had gotten, a few of her books in the beginning, and she was not that way at all. And then the bigger she got, the ego.
or the
I don't
co-
know
or
how
the,
she was able to fit on the stage with
or the,
that
or the,
with thick head.
or the cost of cigarettes
Yeah.
caught her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's a shame.
It is. I mean, and it's all about the almighty dollar. She was charging at one point, I believe, for I don't even think it was a half-hour reading. I think it was 20 minutes, $600,
Wow.
if I'm not
I happened to
mistaken.
see a show she was on years ago where this couple, just in agony over their child who'd been abducted. And she told them that this child was dead and that they needed to just move on with their life in a very cold, abrupt, sharp way. And I thought, even if you know that to be true or feel that to be true, you don't say that. You never stamp out somebody's hope, ever. And years later, they found her.
Yep,
She wasn't
alive.
dead.
She was alive.
Think about the damage to do somebody. That's unforgivable.
I know.
And I meant she was a huge fake because she didn't even make eye contact. She was busy looking for the next person in the audience and barely paying attention.
And that's what happened to her. Within a couple, I don't even know, I want to say a couple years, giving the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not really sure if it was even that. She started getting rude and arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
And, the people would ask a question, and she would be exactly like it's abrupt. And, well, how many times, don't you listen to me? Don't you read my books? How many times have I said it? Of course they see you. And she was just obnoxious.
Mm-hmm. That's why, not everybody should do this kind of thing.
No. And the last couple shows, that's what I've been discussing with people, because I've been getting a couple people that have, learned the cards. They want to start possibly reading for other people, just friends and stuff. And I've accumulated questions each week that I've been getting, and that's one of my big things the last couple of weeks. The things that you don't think about when you're going to start doing this for professionally.
And the number one reason is, why do you want to read professionally? Because if it's about the money, find the next gig.
Exactly.
Don't become a reader, because you're going to hurt people. You have to look. You really have to do your own inventory and look at yourself and ask yourself, what is my motivation for doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's because I'm a healer, and I have a need to help people, and I'm good at it.
Right.
And
let the viewers know exactly who you are, since you weren't advertised. You weren't coming on as a guest. Had you on before, and everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, details. I don't think I even said my name. This is Hannah Leora Weisenberg, a.k.a. Wise Woman Tarot. And I have a new website that's finally up and running, creativewritingwithtarot.com. And our first workshop is this Monday evening. I can't wait. And right now we're 10 members strong, and I'm running a GoFundMe campaign right now, that if you donate $50, you get an entire year subscription to the site.
Wow.
So that's pretty exciting, because normally it's $25 per month. Because not only there's the writing workshop once a month, and there are tarot classes, and I'll be having guest teachers in, and all kinds of things happening, and discussions with decks. And you can also get decks off the website. I'm one of those affiliates for Amazon. So you can get your decks there somebody just purchased a deck recently because she's brand new to tarot, so I'm very excited about that. And I've been reading since I was a kid. I was introduced to the tarot at 9 when my sister was 12 from an old playing card deck that came down the generations on my mother's side when we were gypsies. And this is a great-grandmother had written out the meanings on the cards for a tarot deck. And my sister still has that deck. So in high school, that's when I really started reading daily and kept at it, and then finally became professional at it. And I enjoy it.
And that's what it's about.
You can also find me on Facebook under Wise Women Tarot.
There you go. Yeah, that sounds like so much fun, what you're doing with that. It starts on Monday.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like an every Monday thing for a couple weeks?
It will be, initially we're starting off once a month. And then we'll see if people feel up to doing twice a month. We'll meet twice a month. And it can be any genre, poetry, science fiction, regular fiction, true fiction. What am I thinking of? Creative nonfiction is what I'm thinking of. Mystery, I'm writing a tarot mystery novel right now. I'm also writing an ebook right now for Create Your Own Tarot Deck. And so any genre you want, anything you're working on, memoir, anything you can use the tarot for. Now, if it's a memoir, you use it in a little bit of a different way. And I can message people on the website privately on how to do that. So doing memoir. But I never started writing any fantasy until I started using tarot in this way. And then everything's been fantasy.
So can you give us, I know, you're not on camera this week. I'll have you on when you can. Can you give us, an idea how it works? Do you, randomly pull cards from the deck to get the storyline going?
Yes, that's one way. You can just, pull any card out of there and hold it up. I'll give you an example.
Angel, what's your
Draw
problem tonight?
Your deck.
Well, acting up tonight for some reason. She has not done this the whole 2 years I've had the show. What is wrong with you? You feel a storm coming? You want me to randomly pull a card. Okay. Queen of Pentacles. Do you do reverse and upright or just keep them upright? Because it came out
It doesn't matter. However it comes out. And people can be completely new to the tarot. You don't have to know a thing about it to
Angel. Okay.
And then, the basic direction just for an example, because there's many, many prompts you can do, would be the first place your eye falls on the card. So whatever kind of jumps out at you, like say you pull the Fool and you see the Rose first, I'd have you write from that place, and we'd write for 10 minutes, and you would write about that rose. You could either describe the rose, or it could become, a prop in one of your characters, or all the roses are dying and nobody knows why. It doesn't matter. Just whatever comes into your head, you write, and the most important thing is that you don't lift your pen or your fingers off the keyboard until the 10 minutes is done. So no self-editing is permitted. It's not the time for editing, because it's brand new. It's just being born onto the page.
Right. That is
the size of a newborn baby.
That is a really neat concept.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and always when you get that many people together, every piece of writing is so different that it's very exciting to see what people come up with.
Now, what I have done in the past was, and it was basically to get the meaning of the cards described to somebody that might be new to the deck. I had done it for the major arcanas, and I did a short poem for each one. And then one of the other things I had done was I took one of the suits. I don't even recall offhand which one, if it was the Pentacles or whatever. And I went in order 1 through 10 and made up a story. But the story was, I did it where it was based on the main meaning of the cards, but so that it formed some kind of a story that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a fool's journey type thing, where it just, continues right into one card to the next in order.
Uh-huh. And that's another way to do it that's more formal. But in doing it this way, you don't have any constraints. So you get to see what's going to bubble up from way down.
Right.
And see what flows out onto the page from that, which can be very exciting. And what you're describing is just in another format of a structured way to do it.
Right. Because my thought process when I was doing it was for teaching purposes. A more simplified way to learn the meaning of a card for the people that get panic thinking, oh my God, it's all about memorization, and the little white book gives 5 to 10 different single words, and which one do you use? So I was doing it to try to simplify things that way for them.
Now, if I'm teaching a class on tarot, I will be doing some of that on the advanced levels.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in and joining me tonight.
Thank you so much, too. I enjoyed talking, and it was fun.
I will get together and schedule you to come on.
Sorry?
We'll get together and schedule you to come back on. Because you haven't been on in a while. I think it was in January or something when you were on.
I was just thinking about that all the shows have invited me back, and I haven't been back, and it's probably time I do the rounds again. I really enjoy it.
Well, pick a Wednesday and let me know, darling.
All right. Thank you very much.
Brady, thank you. How difficult is it to teach tarot? And how long? Well, how long? Difficult? It's not difficult at all. And how long? It depends on, there's different ways that people teach tarot. I've been seeing a lot of people set it up where they break the deck down so that they're not overwhelming the students with all 78 cards all at once. And they break it down to a class on just the court cards, a class on just the majors, and then a class on just the minors, or they even break down the minors into the 4 suits for a total of 6 classes, and then they add a separate class on how to do readings, a separate class on how to do reversals. It really shouldn't take all that long, because the most important part that I find with teaching is getting you to be comfortable and out of the mindset of there's a right and proper way, or there's exact specific meanings, rather than get off of the standard thinking. And I'm getting distracted, I'm reading the chat room. The dog was carrying on tonight, so they were joking that she wants the reading done. And get people into the mindset of using your intuition. Look at the card and what are you seeing from it? I always tell people, put away the little white book. Put it aside. Don't look at it randomly, pick a card and what do you see? What's the card telling you? And people are shocked that, they're getting it. I do want to let everyone know. I posted it on Facebook last night, but these all may not everybody may have seen it. For the most part, if I'm not at private parties and engagements or fundraisers doing readings, the main place that I do it is at home over the telephone. But that has all changed. And for those that are in my area, I now have an office space where we can meet up. It's going to be done by appointment only. So if you're in the Hatboro area or near Hatboro and you've been holding off getting a reading because you want to do it face to face with me, you can now do so. For like a grand opening thing, I am going to be running a special. You prepay for a half-hour reading, which is $50, but it will be an hour, 60-minute reading in person at my office. It has to, of course, be prepaid, and then, we'll make the arrangements for the time when both of us are free and available to meet up. So I am really, really excited to be able to do that now. I have my regulars that see me at the different events that I go to and the fundraisers each year, and some of them, that's the only time I see them because they want to be at the location with me face to face and not over the phone. I don't even have the contact for everybody, so I have to get my website updated and get it put on there and letting people know. It just got finalized yesterday, so I haven't had time to get everything organized with it other than Facebook announcements and here on the show to you guys. And I'm also going to do a something for those of you that have had readings from me before and you have been supportive and continue to support and tell your friends. I'm going to offer an additional special for referrals. The people that are new to me, that come to me and get a reading that you've referred and they let me know that you sent them, you will get 50% off. So if that happens right now during the special and you refer a friend of yours, not only will you get the special $50 for an hour reading, which is normally the price of a half hour, it won't cost you $25 for that reading. It's just, a grand opening thing to get the word out, help spread the news that, you can now meet me at an actual office. So pretty cool, pretty exciting. And I believe it had a lot to do with me going away for the weekend because just how things turned out. I was able to get away first time in a couple years. You don't believe that it has an effect on you, not being able to just go away even if it's an overnight thing, but it does. You get refreshed, you're out of the daily grind, the daily environment, and you get a clearer head and you are able to start thinking things through in a different perspective. And that's how all of this transpired yesterday due to my weekend away. So thank you. It is next weekend, as I said. I can't believe where the time has gone. I really don't remember. Said me and a couple other people have said it. I don't know where the month of May went, never mind June. I think back and I have no idea where May was, if I was in just so much pain with my back issues or what, but I don't remember May at all. Next weekend is 4th of July. It's a Friday, so it's a long weekend for people. Some people might even be able to be lucky and have the whole week off. I don't know right now. I might take a rest myself. Next Wednesday night from the show, I haven't decided on that yet. So if in fact I do take the weekend off, I want to wish you all a happy 4th of July, and be careful in your travels and at the fireworks, and use common sense and don't be setting them off at the crowds. And I say that firsthand because when I was a child, a person behind me actually had a firework land in her hair and her head caught fire. She was a little bit behind me. We had been on the field on the other side of the fence where they're set off, when normally we stay further back. But that year my uncle was one of the volunteers helping to set them off. And for support, the family went on the actual ball field instead of staying towards the street. You're allowed. We just always, for safety reasons, never chose to do that. Well, somebody from the street, from the sidewalk, apparently, I don't know if it was one of those stink bomb smoke things. I don't know what it was, but they lit something on the other side of the fence at the street curb, and thought it would be neat to see if they could toss it over the fence while everybody was sitting there watching the fireworks, and it landed in some woman's hair and her head went up in flames. If you're lighting them, be careful. Don't be having anybody nearby when they're being lit either, because you don't know what's going to happen with them. So be safe if I don't see you next Wednesday, and enjoy the 4th. With that, good night, everybody.